everybody. We're going to the third event. What? Okay, well, welcome everybody to the third event in this season's Tony Woiak Festival. These 4 midwinter programs are being sponsored by the Apostle Islands Historic Preservation Conservancy, and we want to thank them for their support. Please remember to mark your calendars for our 4th and final event in 2 weeks' time on February 21st, when John N. Anderson will recount 6 generations of the Anderson family contributions to the betterment of Washburn. Yeah. Please speak up.
Wait, there's more to come. This evening we welcome Gary Holman, who will recount the long, rich history of Patsy's Bar, a place to meet on Bayfield Street. The Holmans, just like the Anderson family that Gary was talking about, go back many generations in the history of Washburn. And there seemed to have always been some connection with the Holmans and music over the years, whether as choir directors or band members or whatever. And so I think it kind of runs in the family. And it doesn't seem to be a surprise then that Gary would want to invite his musician friends to help him do the presentation for tonight. And we're really glad he did. Because what everybody knows, if you just give yourself a little chance to think about it, is music makes every story better. So.
Ooh, you can't even see this. Please give a warm Washburn welcome to Gary Holman and friends.
Well, I'm going to give you a welcome too. I know you've got lots of welcomes tonight, but one more can't hurt anything. Welcome to Patsy's family. There's a whole bunch of those people representing the family here tonight. Friends of the family, friends of Patsy's Bar, and curiosity seekers. I'd like to acknowledge a number of people and entities that have helped make this presentation possible tonight. Obviously, the Harbor View Event Center for their services and the use of this lovely facility. Mike and Candy Yonan for their trove of pictures, important information, and memorabilia. We would have a serious flat tire without their input.
He just needs to be
Leslie Falconer for additional photographs of bar activities. Lynn Adams for technical help. Tony Woiak for his Patsy's Bar history research. I was nervous about that. I was trying to figure out how I was going to find the history of Patsy's Bar, and I would have been dead meat without Tony's research. Rowan Nelson Ferris helped with the sound system tonight. Thank you, Rowan. And of course, the musicians Warren Nelson, Jack Gunderson, and Philip Anish. And the star of the whole show is Betty Ferris with her. Betty is indispensable. So thank you very much. And appreciate your coming tonight. Looks like a pretty decent representation from the Shawinigan Bay area. So, yeah.
Hey, Philip. Go, Phil.
I want to be able to read. I don't want the mic mic right in front of my reading material. That's a little bit of a problem. How's it going? How is it in the back now? Better. All right.
A little more highs.
All right. Strap on your seatbelts. Here we go. According to Tony Woiak, Washburn's premier historian, now deceased, in his book, Small Town USA, the building which houses Patsy's Bar dates back to 1883, the year Washburn was founded. The following is a quote from his article. It was built in 1883 by Sampson and Carrington, who were civil engineers and surveyors who mapped out the village of Washburn. That makes her one of the oldest buildings in town since Washburn was founded that same year by the Bayland and Improvement Company, a corporation consisting of John and his wife Hannah Sanju and Andrew and his wife Karen Matilda Sellers. It's a little foggy here. They sold it to N.N. Hansen and his wife Caroline for $200 in November of 1888. The Hansens in turn sold it for $600 that same year to A.C. Probert. Then A.C. Probert sold it back to the Hansens about 1 year later. Are you with me so far? It gets more complicated. N.N. Hansen gave his wife the building and she sold it to A.C. Probert, who, in August of 1891, sold it back to the Hansens. The Hansens finally sold it for good to the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company in February of 1898 for $3,500. Then the brewing company turned around and sold it to a different Hansen, Bessie M. Hansen, for $1 with the understanding that the building not be used for the sale of alcoholic beverages of any kind for 25 years. It wasn't quite 25 years later when Bessie and Amos Hansen sold it to the Washburn Loan and Building Association. The Hansens, with the E instead of an O, got it back, and then in 1924, they sold it back to the Washburn Loan and Building Association for $1. Then, somehow Bayfield County ended up with it in 1930, and they sold it to Emil Scritt Olson in May of 1931 for $310. Then Scritt turned the bar over to his wife Helen for $1 in 1942. The Olsons had their bar for 35 years until they sold it to Robert Skip Lear for $15,000. Skip had it until January 1st, 1973, when he sold it for twice the price he bought it for to Steve and Patsy Yonan. Then in May of 1974, Steve turned it over to Patsy for $10 a year and a half later. Patsy and Wayne Avery has run it since then. As we note, the building has housed a number of enterprises about which I know little, except where it is noted that it was owned by Schlitz Brewing Company, which of course suggests beer. But beginning in 1931, it became the property of Scritt Olson and his wife Helen, and became Scritt's Bar, a favorite watering hole for folks my parents' age. In about 1956, they opened a beer-only bar in the back room, which was accessed by its own door on the west side of the building. I was there at least once. So the old original interior of Scritt's Bar before anything had been done to it. Notice the booths. And, there was a pretty substantial back room back there, which, I don't know, I guess they might have danced in there or something before my time. Okay. I recall that as a youth, on a number of occasions during the holidays, after the gang was closed out of Scritt's, they would reconvene at our house, whereupon my mom or Harold Anderson would play the piano. The old songs would be rendered with dubious harmonies, and the refrigerator would be cleaned out. This process commonly lasted past 3 a.m. I recognized all their voices. Patsy and Wayne took over the business in 1974, at which time it became Patsy's Bar. They were the main barkeeps. After Wayne passed away in 1992, it left Patsy in charge, where she remained doggedly until 2006. Patsy's children, Mike, Kathy, and Jim, were also involved in the operation in the early days. Now there's a cloudy area here. I am unable to paint a suitable word picture of the bar era from 1974 to 1981. Perhaps some of you have recollections to share when this presentation is over. All right, the old Walter's beer sign. Warren Nelson once said of the bar that when he first came to town to work on souvenir views for the 1983 homecoming, whoever would paint their bar orange. That curiosity, the lure of a Walter's beer sign, and the desire for a burger was enough motivation to get Warren inside where he met Patsy. It was to be the beginning of a colorful era. Around 1983, there had developed a Friday afternoon tradition of social gatherings at Carlin's Gallery with popcorn and adult beverages. A tradition which Carlin decided was getting a little too social and too early in the afternoon. Get thee hence to Patsy's was her stern recommendation, which they did. And I read now from the first part of my last Burgers at Patsy's poem. They came from Carlin's with mud on their shoes for popcorn, beers, margarita, and booze. The Potter wannabe friends and their peers came by for some nights and came back for years. Each Friday like clockwork, they came here to party. Much younger and able, their parties were hearty. Moss, margaritas, beer, popcorn, they cried. Then, done with their frolic, they ambled outside. As the months passed, this Friday afternoon gathering progressed into a regular Friday night at Patsy's, which lasted for years and featured microwave popcorn and Patsy margarita special. The early evening regulars arrived for their usual seats, arriving around mealtime for Patsy's home eats. Wayne kept a close eye on all the bar stools. Lined up straight as an arrow, they always looked neat. The ring toss, that's not a ring toss. The ring toss, a challenge for all who would try, but Thurene could shoot backwards with only one eye. No occasion too minor to load the pool table with potluck and snacks of Patsy's bar fable. Young Chautauqua needed mailings, and what better reason for a gathering of good patrons before Big Blue Tent season. For special occasions, a band would appear to spice up the event and lend to the cheer. That is truly vintage. Nice hat one. The Lost Nation String Band cut its teeth on this bar when they first came to town from way, way afar. Battleship linoleum on the floor here since Scritz saw thousands of souls and dancers ground grit. But lo and behold, underneath the old stuff lurked a real wood floor, not looking too tough. With a grin, I have glid on this floor up and down, being pleasured by some beauties who live around the town. ball game, a concert, or maybe a show, there would usually be time for a Patsy's afterglow. There was Bill Vino's artwork in the early men's loo. Some gents may have stopped in just for the cool view. And dogs too were welcome, any color or size, as long as to Patsy's house rules they were kept wise. The main business district, according to Pat, started at Bob Strawn's Cairo and stopped where she's at. With Lorene's hair salon and Carlin's in the center, you're high on the hog when this district you enter. Patsy's first homecoming was in 1986. Now, many years later, it's finally the Knicks. And I'd love to be able to give credit to whoever wrote this homecoming poem, but I queried a number of people and nobody has confessed. When homecomers come home from near and from far, you can bet they'll be welcome at Patsy's Orange Bar. Margaritas and Bloody Marys in her bottle is 4. The next ones are 2 anytime you need more. Once you own that purple bottle, you'll never be hurt. Take $1 off the price of a Patsy's bar shirt. When you're hungry, any time of the day you can eat Patsy's burger, chicken, and sandwiches, or pizza's a treat. When the bars close at night and you're still in the mood, a booth just outside will be open for food. Shrimp cocktails, chalupas, and yummy yum dogs, nachos and black beans, wet beer floats and hot dogs. You can see down at Patsy's, they'll be ready for thee at the main business district where the coffee is free. All right, there's 10 reasons we love Patsy's. Yum dogs served here. Candy dish. Las Vegas lights. Frick, frack, fruck, almost Tony. Olives, and more olives. Naked women in the men's can. This bar is almost orange. Burgers anytime. No need to buy a paper. Patsy knows everything. Patsy, put it on my tab, please. The good sons of Bunyan, who Warren begat, I gotta get adjusted here, I'm running out of light. The good sons of Bunyan, who Warren begat, first sucked the stogie right near where you're at. Sons and drovers rallied at Nelson's Song Farm bonfire, wearing sorrels and wool suits which made them perspire. Wait till you get trifocals, folks, you're not gonna like it. For 11 years they stayed. The Fez-clads migrated from the bonfire to here, a movement which fortuitously became Patsy's Northern New Year. The drovers, too, played here, plus Pete Nelson and friends. We chose not to think all this good stuff would end. When you're running a bar, you need to have tenders to administer to the pleasure of all those elbow benders. So there's going to be a list of collection of these fine specimens here any minute. He's still got that same hat. He's wearing it tonight. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. A reindeer ran over Grandma Ross one dark Christmas night. Reckless driving to charge, but they escaped town by flight. The white bearded driver was right lively but thick. We thought by his red suit it must be St. Nick. They dragged Grandma in the bar and gave her a mug, then mopped up the skid marks where she had been drugged. June motorcyclists from the cities found Patsy's orange bar on their way to La Pointe from their hometown afar. Well-heeled and mellow, but looking some rough. Turns out they're professionals, not raucous or tough. That was a pretty annual event in June. All right, see, we're at Live at Patsy's. The recording was created right there in February of '03 for good patrons to share. With Nelson originals and some favorite covers, a delight to this day for us tent show band lovers. So, some of you may remember the last
We love
burgers
you,
at
Patsy.
Patsy's event, and I'm going to read this. It's a little lengthy, but bear with me. She stood here 30 years through thick and fun. All things come to an end, baby, claimed Warren Nelson. Not one to mince words. She said she wasn't one to avoid getting in trouble. Last week, though, Patsy Avery's finale at Patsy's Bar, the place was jammed with well-wishers, including a tribute by entertainers, including Big Top's Warren Nelson and friends. Given a chance to say a farewell, Avery was her usual concise self, just thanking all her loyal customers. The build-up for the event had started several nights ago when Nelson advertised at the Big Top Chautauqua one night during a warm-up for Greg Brown. This included a rendition of Down at Patsy's Bar from the CD that was recorded in the bar February 2003. This was also Pat's 30th anniversary running the tavern. Nelson, in advertising for the finale, calling attention to what is a record of service at the establishment, 33 years, 7 months, cooking hamburgers non-stop. In the ad, Nelson invited, bring your instruments, stories, and remembrances of the old orange bar. Have a bump and a babble, as they say in Latin. Forever us, over us, and us. I don't believe that. It may have only been appropriate that Nelson served as master of ceremonies at this finale. Patsy's Bar could very well have been called a nerve center for the Big Top during the early days. Publicity material assembled in the bar by volunteers. This also was likely behind Nelson selecting the tavern for the recording of what is probably one of the most popular CDs live at Patsy's. He has been relating at Big Top this summer that the title song for the CD Down at Patsy's Bar was used for a sermon in a California Jewish synagogue. That song was played during an operation, the doctor sending him a picture of the procedure, then displayed it the night of the finale. Ringing through the heads of many of the finale was the chorus from Nelson's Down at Patsy's Bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers, peeking through the glass down at Patsy's Bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end, down at Patsy's Bar. Other memorable excerpts from the song Remember, even before you're born, Patsy knows who your daddy is. Oh, yeah. Who will sell all the tickets and boil all the eggs? Who will cook all those burgers and drain all those kegs? It's been a great run at this watering hole, like popping some vitamins you take for your soul. Thank you, dear Patsy, for steering the ship. We all wish you well on the rest of your trip. P.S. I'm still waiting for my California burger. Yeah, and all in that trustworthy little gas grill right there. Amazing. Let's see, we need a picture of Patsy, Homer, and Pat. There we go. After Patsy retired in 2006, her grandsons, Homer and Pat Moore, ran the bar for about a year before the new owners, Wally and Barbara Engelhard, took over. Sadly passed away in 2013 while living with her son Mike and daughter-in-law Candy Yonan. The Engelhards made substantial and welcome improvements to the interior of the building, including new bathrooms and a kitchen which replaced Patsy's venerable gas grill. They operated the business for 17 years and did a brisk business. In 1922, the business... Good. In 1922, the business was purchased by Robert and Lindsay Stadlers, who have done a substantial exterior renovation, which includes new siding, a concrete patio with outdoor seating, and a portico roof. And it's not orange. We wish them well. So at some point in the not too distant future, Betty Ferris is going to run a collection of photographs that were not in the scripted part of the program. There's quite a few of them. And, but in the meantime, think about if any of those pictures trip your recollections of anything you'd like to tell us about. We got time. We can hear about it.
I was just going to do that during the song down at Patsy's Bar.
Right.
Or unless you want me to do it now.
No, we're going to have Warren and the boys are going to come up here and they're going to play down at Patsy's Bar. And I'm just wondering, are there any Sons of Bunyan in the audience today? Must be Normie. How many sons? Let's see it. Hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. After we're through with the down at Patsy's Bar, if you guys are willing, come on up here and Warren and the boys will play the Sons of Bunyan tune, and you guys can sing. I've got some word sheets up here. We could do it now. That's at the end. At the end, okay.
Right before the end.
Yeah, right. And at some point, we're going to polish this whole thing off with the now famous end song from Souvenir Views. It's just a little town on a big lake, but home, sweet home to me. A classic by Warren Nelson. So,
Well, first of all, great hand for Gary Holman for putting this one together. Mr. Holman, born and raised in Washburn, Wisconsin. I tell people, you know, well, you'll hear it in the song, I guess, but got two my guitar, sorry. What do they say about tuning, Dad?
Let's see. Yes, it's always good to stop and tune your guitar. It's always worth it. Yes, it's like aircraft maintenance. It's always worth it.
You know, there's going to be a lot of stories talked about here, but or thought about here. I'm thinking about Garrett. And I was sitting at the bar with Billy Olson one night, and he was doing magic tricks in front of us. And it was one of the most enjoyable nights I can ever remember. It was, he was just incredibly talented. Just, I don't know if anybody experienced his magic tricks, but they were.
I did.
They blew you away. It was phenomenal.
He took my wristwatch off while I was having my hand on the bar. That's no lie. Just talking away, and I'm sitting there. Okay. Well, the chorus is, do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers peeking through the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end, down at Patsy's bar. Hi, I'm out of cash. I just paid my tab at Patsy's bar. When I die, don't put me in the ground. Put my ashes in the ashtray and drive me around. Drive me around this old town that slowly drove me crazy. Stop at Patsy's bar first, sprinkle some on a bar stool, where I sat in my infinite wisdom most every afternoon. Throw some more on the floor, where my brain cells went to die. Raise a glass to my name, to my last big bye-bye. Do we even know, come on, who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking to the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end, down at Patsy's bar. 4 o'clock, Florence comes in, sits same place with her can of pop. Leopard Chris and Alan Stewart there, and Homer's in and out. What's he up to now? Mike stops in after work. That's Patsy's son, if you don't know. And Kathy, she's driving around in that van, who knows why. Candy said Jimmy's home, coming home for the Northern New Year's Sons of Bunyan meeting. Jimmy, my son, eat a cake of fun. He drink like a tuna, eat a big kahuna. Patsy's bar is for sale. 30 years she stood here through thick and fun. All good things come to an end, maybe. The old lady's done. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking to the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end, down at Patsy's bar. Okie dokie, here comes Andy Okie and the Gimli fresh from the stable. We're laughing at Ralph's old jokes again, and Holman here, he's over there at the table.
My grandfather.
Kirsten is here first today, and she's attending to my thirst. Remember, don't talk politics or sports. When the bar's full throttle on the bottle, hey Patsy, put her on my tab. One more and I gotta go. One more and I gotta go. One more and I gotta go. Patsy pouring margaritas and all kind of beer and wine and things that fizz. Just remember, even before you're born. Patsy knows who your daddy is. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking through the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end down at Patsy's bar. Well, in 1978, Bruce Burnside booked a Lost Nation string band gig at Archie's Supper Club in Washburn, Wisconsin. We hurried up Highway 13 on the Greenway to Washburn, Wisconsin, where I had never been before. Tell me what kind of goof in this goofy world paint their bar orange. Stopped in for a burger, and the wallet was on tap. The beer, that is beer. Well, wasn't long after we all moved up. I look back at those 25 years. Boy, I've really gone far. I've moved my seat by my 2 feet to the other end of the bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking through the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking through the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are human seekers speaking through the glass down at Patsy's bar. Do we even know who and where we are? We are strangers, friends, neighbors to the end down at Patsy's bar. Rest in peace, Patsy Avery. Sure, get all the Sons of Bunyan up here. Let me tell you about the Sons of Bunyan. It was a family group that I kind of thought funk up because my brother and his friend Brian Russ, who was later called the High Bun, came up to visit in 1987, and they, instead of sleeping in the house, they slept outside in 10 below weather. And so that night we had a fire, and wow, this would be some kind of thing we ought to do every year. And then I remember when I was researching Souvenir Views, there was actually a group in Washburn, a fraternal organization called the Sons of Bunyan. And they were bloggers in the area, so that's where that whole thing came from. But
I always thought it was a bunion on your foot
no,
at that meeting. When you were in 10, it was 10 below zero,
Ron was 19 months old.
and he was in his little bassinet or whatever,
No, I was in a little red snowsuit.
Little red snowsuit.
and it was 10 below zero, and what did he say?
It's too
It's
hot.
too hot.
Sorry, Ron. Here's a end song from Washburn Souvenir Views, first, last, and all the time. Here's where I don't want to be. Gets a little town on the big lake, it's home sweet home to me.
Pollock Hill to Slab Town by the old hillsides on the bay. From the famous hamburgers at Patsy's to coffee at the Time Out Cafe. From Benderville up Royston Hill to the old flowing well in the park. This is my home, this is my town. I know my way around. Leave my bones here when my eyes go dark. First, last, and all the time. Here's where I want to be.
It's a little town on the big lake.
It's just a little town on the big lake, but it's home, sweet home to me.
From Barksdale to Egg Beach to Houghton.
Houghton Falls, falls in spring.
From the old stage door at the opera.
The big rock where the Sioux River sings.
From the noontime grub
At the old DuPont Club, where the elders are talking old times.
This is our town, this is our place. I know my way around. Celebrate
This place we have found.
Here we go.
First, last, and all the time. Here's where I want to be. It's just a little town on the big lake, but it's home, sweet home to me. Gonna play a lead?
Now, before we sing this last verse, I want you to know, at the time, Phil Anish was the postmaster in Washburn. And so I thought having him sing the zip code would be the perfect thing to
Here we go. 5, 4, 8, 9, 1. The first 100 years have gone fast. Tell all the old jokes one more time. Here's to all the loved ones who passed. This show is over now. The songs are all sung. All out and over rings the cry. Lights are lowered one by one. The crowd departs. Good night, goodbye. First, last, and all the time. Here is where I want to be. It's just a little town on the big lake, but it's home, sweet home to me. First, last, and all the time. Here is where I want to be. It's just a little town on the big lake, but it's home, sweet home to me. It's just a little town on the big lake, oh yeah, but it's home, sweet home to me.
Something funny up here now. I see Norm back there. Come on. Come on up here. Be embarrassed.
Tell us about this song. tell us about this song.
The song?
Yeah. The melody is by...
Well, the melodies to a song we used to do in Lost Station called Old Maui, but I figured we needed a theme song, and so starting in 1987, we started 88, we started singing this song. By the way, Gary Holman is the son of Bunyan. I want to tell you one time, way down in the lower fire, where the women dare not go, he grabbed some pine trees or some maple trees and was swinging. Do you remember that?
No, what we were doing, he showed me how to do this, a blast. You go up to a hardwood about this big around, and you just shinny up the thing about 25 feet, and the thing finally would bend all the way over and drop you right on the ground. We did it about 50 times.
And he lived to tell about it.
He can still do it today. Look at this. What an athlete. My goodness.
We're up.
All right.
Give us a nice feedback.
I know the words. I couldn't read that without my glasses or nothing.
It's a damn good. Yep. Somebody else started.
Oh, no. No.
It's a damn tough life with your lover or your wife, we men all undergo. But one night a year with a hand on a beer, we stand out in the snow. Oh, we're bound hodgepodge from the Sioux River Lodge, brothers bold and hairy. In the wind chill still, it's too hot in the air of January. Oh, we are the manly men, me boys, we are the manly men. The sorrel squeaks when the high bun speaks, we are the manly men. Some say the sun stands for nothing at all, though the sun stand all night long. The suns call out, the suns fall down with a cigar and a song. First fire up on the higher ground, then down below, to the river ravine circle where the women dare not go. Oh, we are the manly men, me boys, we are the manly men. The sorrel squeaks when the high bun speaks, we are the manly men. Sons of Bunyan call out, loyal royal sons, ne'er speak the secret of the fire to those who would poke fun. Whate'er one says, under the fez must stay in the pine and birch. Gird your loins against the ice, the suns are all besmirched. Oh, we are the manly men, me boys, we are the manly men. The sorrel squeaks when the high bun speaks, we are the manly men. Oh, we are the manly men, me boys, we are the manly men. The sorrel squeaks when the high bun speaks, we are the manly men.
Well, that really pretty much wraps it up, but if anybody has any commentary they'd like to make, we're still under an hour here. I don't think we're going to have a problem, so if you want to come up and say anything, you're welcome.
Can I ask a question? Talk about the kids. You had parties for kids.
Oh, yes. Well, I kind of glazed over that, but they were commonly, especially when we had the celebratory events, birthdays, whatever, the place was awash with little people, and they all kind of gravitated towards the pool table. And of course, first of all, they figured out that the pool, if you put the white ball down in one of those holes, it would come out at the end of the pool table. They would run around that pool table and wait for that ball to come out. Well, eventually they got tall enough where they could actually use a cue stick and actually shoot pool there. But anyway, it was the white ball that was the introduction to the pool table.
Just want to say, here's to Robbie and Lindsay Stadler and the new owners of Patsy's. Long live Patsy!
Well, it's great to see all you folks here tonight. It's been a long time that we've had this many people in one spot, and it's good. Good to have friends and company.
And Gary, how many diapers were changed on that pool table?
Gentlemen, diapers were changed. Diapers were changed. Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say. When you came in, yes. When you came in, you received a drink token from the new owners of Patsy's Bar, the Stadlers. They're encouraging you to come up there and use them after the program.
I have one thing to say while he's getting ready there. You know, working for the Big Top, you know, Therine was our just incredible volunteer coordinator, Therine Gazdick. And I think that we probably put through on the order of 60 to 70,000 brochures in an evening there. I mean, we would process just bags and bags of these, you know, and everybody was just, it was just a, you know, community hub there. Right, Caroline?
My name is John Moore. Grandma Patsy was my grandmother. Just want to say, some new diaper was changed on that bar. I know probably 90% of you guys probably saw me from here to here. Watching these guys, everybody, my grandma would be so proud, so happy, so fulfilled to see all the love and everything for that bar. It's a staple in the community, and I know Robbie and Lisa are going to do well, and Barb and Wally have done it well. Everybody that comes there, the support, it's phenomenal. I have a fun story I feel to tell about Warren. I've known Warren since, well, me and Rowan were, I went to school with Rowan, and I remember being in the bar one day, and Warren had a sarsaparilla or two. And he was hooping and hollering, and as you saw the pictures on the bar, there used to be like a liner that went on top of the bar. Well, that's where Grandma kept all the margarita glasses. And Warren just got all excited and was hooting and hollering and started going, yeah! And Warren probably forgot at that time that that's where all the margarita glasses were. And that whole thing shook, and my grandma got new margarita glasses. So, from the family, I'd like to say, Gary, thank you very much for putting this together. Thank Tony Woiak for all of his historian-ness that he had. Another great guy. They're both probably up there right now hitting the slot machines, as Grandma Patsy liked to do. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Absolutely. Would the Stadlers come present? Ladies and gentlemen, the new and very proud owners of Patsy's Bar. Everybody have a good night. Make sure you go to Patsy's and support them.
Thank you, everybody.
God bless, honor,